Hello YouTube and welcome to another exciting episode of Slot It In There. And in this episode, yes, we're back with a 25 and out that I do, but this time it's a Sony PlayStation. Yes, the Sony PlayStation, it was a landmark console really that came out in the 90s, wasn't it? We just jumping from 2D to 3D with it. It was an absolutely brilliant machine. The first of Sony's, obviously, which continues their dominance now, and it's sort of went past computer game genre, didn't it, into the mainstream with some of its characters and everything, and it was a bit more of an adult console, wasn't it, growing up from the sort of Mega Drive and SNES that I'd had before and everything, and just generally in the mainstream it was sort of marketed more as an adult console, wasn't it? But yeah, it's brilliant, I loved it, and that's why I had one, and this is the games that I obviously needs to get back for it. So grab yourself a brew as I bring some retro gaming to you. Slot It In There presents 25 and out for the PlayStation. So, as always in this series, I've got 25 games I want to get. If I had the only 25 games I can get for this console and no more, they're the ones I'd have and keep in my collection forever. And as you can see, I've got a lovely sheet here. It's all blanked out at the moment, and we'll sort of reveal them as we go through, as I keep collecting them. Now, I've actually got quite a few of these games already, so I'll probably know another couple of episodes coming out sometime in the near future as well. But we'll get started, shall we? So the first game that I'm going to show you, well, let's start with one of the launch titles, because it is the mighty, if I can get it, Ridge Racer. Yeah. Now, Ridge Racer, I mean, it was in all the arcades at the time before the PlayStation came out, wasn't it? It was one you saw around, and it was absolutely brilliant. But when I got the console, it was one of those games like, I need to get this racing game. It's the big racing game that, you know, everybody was talking about, and it was in 3D and looked absolutely amazing at the time. Now, when you play it, there's not a lot to it really now, is it? It's one track. When it gets harder, they add a couple of little more sections in it, and then there's a mirror mode, and that's pretty much the game. But it's still brilliant to play now. You just throw on, have a little play for 10-15 minutes or so, driving around at the top speed. It's absolutely great. I mean, I'm still pretty rubbish at it, but I got really good back in the day. Even my friends were impressed, I think, because I got very drunk at one party and I still managed to blitz everybody at Ridge Racer because I played it so much at the time. But yeah, you know, what can I say about Ridge Racer? It just looked cool. It was the epitome of jumping into that 3D sort of thing, what the PlayStation was about at the time. It was only really Ridge Racer and then probably Wipeout when it sort of came out, isn't it? That just looked great as the initial racing games to get. So yeah, it's definitely one I enjoy playing it anyway. It's like just a quick throw on to play, but it's one I definitely need to get back into the collection as a brilliant piece of history, and just shouts PlayStation straight away if you think of a console. Now the next game, it's a bit of a strange one how I even came across this, because I knew nothing about it. I'd heard nothing about this game, and I'd gone to a parents' evening, I'm sure it was. I must have been in my final year of school. Went to a parents' evening, and I was hanging out there when my parents were talking to my teachers, obviously seeing how brilliant I'd done, of course, because it's me. And then these two friends of ours, I had some friends, they were twins, and I won't say they were better off, but they just seemed to get loads of games and loads of new games at the time, compared to me that was literally still on like one for your birthday, one for Christmas, because I didn't have lots of money. And I think I must have started earning some money by this point, because they came over to me like, hey, we've got this game, and I was like, you know, we completed in it, and sort of, do you want it, you know, because they obviously wanted to go and buy another game, and they sold it for me something really cheap. It was either like a 10 or 15 pounds at the time, which was really good for a brand new game. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. It sounds really cool. If they've got it, it's obviously been pretty good. And it was a beat 'em up game I never really heard of, and it was Star Gladiator. Now, in my case, it's got a bit of a crack in it, but I'll get that replaced at some point. And yeah, it's really cool, because if you look at it straight away, if you look at the images, you're like, that looks like someone with a lightsaber. This looks pretty awesome, doesn't it? If I can go out with a lightsaber. And look at that bad dude in the background. He's a bit Darth Vader-ish, isn't he? A bit changed about, isn't he? Or maybe Skeletor. I don't know. But it looks really cool, because you're basically fighting with a giant lightsaber in my mind. And it's pretty cool. And there's a couple of characters as you go along. In my mind, it was very themed. A bit Star Wars-esque, sci-fi in that sense. They were sort of going with without breaking copyright, you feel. Because there's some smaller characters a bit Yoda-ish. Like I say, the bad guy's a bit Darth Vader-ish. There's a big guy that's a big Chewie-ish. You know, a big bear type person. Or alien, isn't it? But it was by Capcom. Like I say, it could have been huge, could have been in the arcades, but I'd never heard of it at the time. But that's how I ended up in my possession, and obviously because I didn't get a lot of games, I played it to death, played quite a lot of it, and I did get quite good actually, playing with whoever the character is with a lightsaber. We won't say Luke, but we could call him Luke for anybody's sake. Yeah, and like I say, it's just a bit of a unique beat 'em up. I did really enjoy it at the time. It wasn't awful. I played a few awful beat-em-ups on the PlayStation, so it's one I wanted to get back in the collection, really, just for that. And like I say, because it's one you sort of stumble across these games, and you go, wait, this was quite good, really. You know, I wouldn't have bought it particularly any other way, but seeing as though it just got stumbled into my lap like that fairly quickly, I had a go with it. So yeah, it's a nice little beat-em-up if you want to have a go with it, and it's by Capcom. They're also really cool, isn't it, and did Resident Evil at the time, so they're really big. So yeah, it's one worth checking out if you like it as well. So the next game is part of a trilogy, and of course my favourite one's the second one, because number 2 is always the best usually, and it is Crash Bandicoot. Yes, the second one, Cortex Strikes Back. And yeah, I didn't really intend to get this one, but I missed out on the first one when it first came out. I just started with the second one. It's the first one I got, and I really enjoyed it. It's a lovely little platformer, and I love the way the level's really cool. You know, fairly challenging. Some of them are very frustrating as they go along, as you find with all the Crash Bandicoot games. I don't think as frustrating as the first game was, if I recall, the way people review it and everything. But yeah, it was pretty cool, and I loved the way that once you played the levels, you wanted to go back, because it was like you had to break all the boxes, you had to collect the crystals, those hidden paths to find. So there was a lot of replayability in it, even if you couldn't do the higher levels because they were so hard. You could go back to the lower levels and happily keep playing with that. And yeah, I just really had a good time with it. I never completed it, because like I say, it probably got too hard, or it's one of them, something else came along at the time. But I just like now, just throw it on, just the first few levels, they're really cool to play, just a bit of relaxing, and I'll hopefully get back into it and complete it. I mean, you've got the Insane trilogy now, haven't you, if you just want to play it on modern systems, but I had to get it back in my collection because I remember playing it to death. I had all of them in the end of the Crash Bandicoots when I was on the PlayStation, but it was the second one that I have the fondest memories with and spent the most time with. So yeah, it's a great little platformer game that you should check out. Even if you don't want to play it on the PlayStation, play it in the Insane trilogy on your modern consoles, because it's a really good one. It's the best out of the trilogy, if you ask me. Now, the next game, and it's a bit of a story time again of how I ended up playing this game. So yeah, I had a friend in school. I had him in year 7 of school, and he was my friend, and then their family moved away to France. And it must have been the following year then, or whatever, in the summer. They were like, do you want to come over to France, sort of stay through? And he obviously came over to mine for a couple of weeks, but I went over to his for a couple of weeks to start with in France. So, and when we were over, he was trading in his Game Boy and everything to get a PlayStation. And this was my first experience with a PlayStation. He traded all his stuff in, and he got his PlayStation, and the game he got with it, and I made him get a second controller, which I felt really bad for, because then later in the summer he did come over to mine, and my parents managed to get me a PlayStation, but I couldn't afford to get another controller. So I was like, sorry, we'll just have to share. But he got another controller so I could play at the time. So I do feel a bit bad about that when you look back at it. But anyway, through my ramblings, the game was Ballerina Toshinden. Yeah. And this game, again, it was one of the early beat-ups, if I think about it. And I thought people had forgotten all about this game and not remembering it at all. But it was one that's on the PlayStation Classic as well, got thrown on there. And I enjoyed playing it on there, and I thought I've got to get the disc back, the physical one, into my collection, because I really enjoyed it as well. I mean, there's nothing too special about it. I mean, compared to your Tekkens out at the time and those sort of ones, that's why it probably got forgotten, because there was just so many beat-em-ups, I suppose. But I enjoyed it. And I can't think why, other than there's nothing too special about it, other than I played it, like, so I remember this trip to France. It is a good game. I can play it now. I've played a bit of it, obviously to capture some footage. I really enjoyed it, and it's one that I'll go back to. You know, you can drop in and out of for a bit of time, isn't it? Half an hour playing it and then come back to it another time. It's a fun little beat 'em up. I'm not really a huge beat 'em up fan though, especially on my own, so it's quite good to say that I'd still go and play that and drop into it, because I do really enjoy it. But yeah, just for the memory of it, like I say, it reminds me of that trip away to France with my friend that I've lost contact with over the years, as you do. But it's a nice little memory to go back to, and also I feel ashamed that he got a PlayStation, spent some of his hard cash to get another controller so I could play with him, and then when he came over to me, I didn't, because I simply didn't have it. I could literally afford a game and a thing. So that was my story. But anyway, I ramble on. But yeah, that's Ballerina Toshinden. So the next game is the controversial game, and as soon as I say controversy, you probably know which game I'm talking about. I was far too young. Well, I wasn't far too young. I think I must have been about 16 when it came out. And so I had to go and get my parents to buy it because it's an 18. And my parents looked at it and probably like, this doesn't look violent at all. That's not a problem at all. I played it on the PlayStation Magazine demo disc, just a little bar of it there, and I thought, this is awesome. I really like this. I've got to have it. And of course, I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto. Now, like I say, my parents probably thought it's just a top-down game. It looks harmless at anything. Like, the graphics are terrible. why is this an 18? No idea. He's, you know, he's old enough to play it, which of course I was. But obviously, as you know, some of the controversy is you're going around killing people, and obviously you can pick up hookers and do dodgy drug deals and everything kind of like that. But it's great, and I still love the top-down 2D style. It's still rock hard, especially when you're trying to get, you know, police after you and hide, but it's still a good one. It took a very long time to complete sort of first missions. The only annoying thing that I don't have with this one, it's a lovely copy. I don't have the blinking maps, and you definitely needed a map, so I've got to try and get them back in it, because I remember at the time, back in the day when I had it, because you just get scrolling maps out, especially when you got a rush across the city. There was a few missions like, what is the route? Whereas nowadays in modern games you can just pause it and look at the map. We didn't have that one on the first PlayStation game, so you literally had the printed out maps. So the fact I don't have them is annoying, but I'm sure I can get them on the screen or on my phone to do it. Really, it's not as much of a hardship, but one of them I'll be getting out. But yes, Grand Theft Auto, it's where it's all started. I know Grand Theft Auto 3 was the landmark one on the PlayStation 2 that sort of really brought it to the masses. But if you haven't played the original ones, don't put them down just because they're like 2D top down sort of thing. They're a lot of fun. Obviously, still has the same sort of missions in a 2D style and everything, and yeah, they're absolutely brilliant, and that's why I had to get this one back in the collection as well. And the final game I'm going to talk to you about in this little video, originally I was going to get it on its own because I had it as part of a compilation initially when it first came out. And then, funny enough, as I was just looking for it, as these games on my list to try and get, the compilation came up and it wasn't too expensive. I thought, well, why not? Because I actually originally had it in that compilation. That's how I got it. So, wouldn't that be nice to have back in my collection that way, even though it's that one game I'm after? Because back in the day, you got 2 other games with it, but there was only the one game I was really after. And it was part of a help compilation. And it was 3 games, and it was really bizarre, the help compilation, because if I show you, the 2 games that it came with were Myst and Broken Sword. They were the 2 other games. And you're like thinking, okay, they're all sort of like point-and-click games, aren't they, that you play? So, you know, surely the other one's going to be sort of point-and-click game. But it wasn't. It was surprisingly the game I actually wanted, which was Road Rash. Yeah, it's a very strange compilation how it came up with that. You got Myst, Broken Sword, 2 point-and-click adventures, and then Road Rash. But yeah, if you watch my other videos, especially on the Mega Drive, I love Road Rash, especially Road Rash 2. Absolutely brilliant. So when there was a 3D version of this, I was like, I've got to get that on the PlayStation. And like I say, I got it in this help compilation. And yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I loved it. The great thing about this game, it's still got the mechanics from the other 2, you know, the original 2D ones, that you can hit people with chains, just punch them in the face, kick them off the bikes, etc. You got the police that come after you and everything. It's still quite fast paced. It's obviously got that more 3D vibe because it's supposed to be on a 3D system, but it's got video clips in between, which are pretty poor now, to be honest, and probably rubbish at the time and cheesy then, but they're really cheesy now, rubbish now. But obviously we can do full motion videos, so we'll put some of them in between, you know, your start and end of your races. But they're quite cool to watch. But I mean, if you win, you get some good ones, and if you lose, you get some terrible ones to get picked on. But yeah, it's a really cool game. I really enjoy it. Again, it's one of them you can just throw on, do a couple of races, you know, for 10-15 minutes, and then put it back down if you want. The thing I really liked about this one is the soundtrack. There's some really good songs on here as well. And funny enough is I'd forgotten about it, but there's a group called Therapy, and I had their Troublegun album, which was really big at the start of the 90s. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, they've got a couple of Therapy songs on there, so you can actually ride along with a bit of metal music therapy. So that's pretty cool as well, in my opinion. But that's another thing I liked about it. So there you have it. There you have my first 6 games out of my 25 own collect. So let's look at the list and see where they look and sit. And like I say, it's in no particular order at all. It's just how I sort of thought of them. So don't think that one's higher than the other. It's just all thrown on there. Did you like any of these games I mentioned in the video? Make sure you write in the comments down below, because it's the interaction between you and us that slotted in there that makes YouTube all very special. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and obviously tickle that bell for notifications when the next videos go live. But until next time, thanks for watching. I'll catch you again. Bye-bye.